Thank you for joining us again on Local Pulse, where we are promoting the participation of citizens in the democratic process. Today's part 2 of our interview with an aspiring Member of Parliament for Livingstone Constituency, Fenete. Thank you for agreeing to come to the interview again for us to continue the conversation from where we left off last time.
Thank you very much, and I'm delighted, Wendelwi, for this part 2.
Thank you. For those that may have not watched the first part, Mr. Fenete is a former cop, he's an entrepreneur, he's co-director on 4 companies, and so we would like to know what plans he has for Livingstone. He did mention that there's a very robust plan to create cooperatives, a stewardship through which if he won as Member of Parliament, he would run the affairs of Livingstone. But before we get back to how he plans to run the affairs of Livingstone, I would like to find out, how did the idea of cooperatives come about?
The idea of the cooperative or the stewardship way of bringing development to the community, it's something that have been running into my mind for the past 10 years. And in the 10 years that I was trying to put it together, is that being born from Livingstone, I was looking at how Livingstone is and how we can change the economy of Livingstone from what God has gifted the city of Livingstone. Meaning I looked at 3 things that can never be changed even 100 years from now.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that moment 10 years ago. What sparked that idea? Because it's from what you shared last week, in the last interview, it's a very big plan. Of course, you're going to talk more about it. But what really sparked it? Like, okay, this perhaps is how things can change.
What has sparked, or what really sparked the idea, is the passion that I have for humanity. Meaning that when I look at people who are capable or who are able to benefit from who they are, and then they are not able to see what is around them for them to benefit from the resources around them. So I come in as more or less like a catalyst. I come in like to come and make people see that we can do better than where we are. So basically that is coming from the passion that I have for the community of Livingstone and also just for humanity in general.
So the past decade, the past 10 years, you were just marinating the idea. What's been going on with the idea all these years?
For the past years was how to put the idea together, to polish the idea so that when I come out now to explain on how the vision looks like, it will be clear for an ordinary person to understand how simple it is, because the whole vision or the whole idea just resonates to the geographical location of Livingstone.
Okay. Are there any people that you engaged, that you involved as you were thinking through the idea?
Yeah, there are colleagues and friends that I share the vision with. And the interesting thing is that whenever I put this vision and idea with the people that are open-minded, you find that they will even contribute to say, even this you can add, even this. So it has been building up to this big and special thing where I've opened it to people and they're able to put in some amendments to make it more easier to understand and to bring in ideas that will make it be sustainable.
Okay. The idea, even when you're forming it and as you're developing it, has the idea always been that you at least one day aspire to be Member of Parliament, or it's something that you feel can still take off even without you being Member of Parliament?
This idea really needs someone who needs to spearhead it with a certain authority or a certain power. So I can have this good vision, good idea, but provided I don't stand into a certain jacket, it might not be exhausted, or it might not be done as it is expected to be done, because the whole idea anchors on governance. It anchors on politics. it anchors on the community, it anchors of influence, and it also makes the person driving it to be a person who is able to knock into doors of influence, to share the idea, to lobby for many things so that the whole vision can be done with perfection. So really, if you do it as an ordinary person and introduce yourself, people will not pay or give you that attention that you deserve to be listened to.
All right. So now let's get into it now, because people that may not have watched the first episode may be wondering, what idea are they talking about? What vision are they talking about? Can you now run us through what this grand idea is?
Okay, very good. The vision that I have for the city of Livingstone, it's a vision that I feel if all of us in Livingstone can come together, join hands, and create a stewardship kind of working. Number one, it goes on agriculture. On agriculture, it's that there are people in the community, in Sawmills, in Malota, in Ngwenya, in Linda, in Malone. There are the youths that are not employed. There are the youths that are not employed because probably they never went to school, not by their choice, maybe because they didn't have that opportunity to do so. So now these youths, they have the energy, meaning that we can get the energy that they have and convert it into production. There are many times that you'd see people slashing by the sides of the road. So when I walk and see those people, I know to say, if we convert the slashing of grass into production, into agriculture, the production will be food that will be produced by the energy that is being done. So when I looked into that, I said, okay, fine. Why don't we get the youths, the old women that are more or less still with energy, get them onto farms around Livingstone, that is under Chief Mukuni, under Msokotwani, and under Sekute, where we have big lands, and then go onto those lands, cultivate. First of all, in the first phase or first stage, you concentrate on one crop, that is maize. Why maize? Because maize is the staple food. Me and you and everyone here agree to say that on each daily basis, we need to have a bag of mealie meal in our house. So now, why maize?
What's the, you've looked into the soil types, because for a long time, when you talk about agriculture in Livingstone, the thing that pops in the mind is sandy soils and all of those things. Is it something that has been looked into?
I'm a farmer, and I don't agree with you. The issue is that soil is just a conduit to plant something, all right? So no matter how bad the soil is, you have to find ways of treating the soil to be the conveyor of the nutrients to the plant that you need to plant. So even when we have the sandy soil, we have to follow the normal procedure in order for maize to grow in the sand and in the fertile grounds around Livingstone. So that has been taken into, and if you check in the area of Mukuni, it's clay loam soil. And if you check in the areas of Sekute, that is more like a little bit of sand. Musokotwane is sandy soil, but it's still more the crops still hold.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So now going by the vision is that we are going to take the youths and the women into the gardens and begin to cultivate maize. Why? When we cultivate the maize and harvest it, is that we ourselves, again, we are going to have our own milling plant as a stewardship cooperative. So when we harvest the maize, we bring it to our milling plant. From our milling plant, we have now to grind and then repackage the maize into the meal that is required. Now, who should have access to it? Because we have other people that are not from Livingstone.
Just to be clear, so how will people be incorporated into this cooperative? Is it the unemployed youth? Is it youth within the different wards that have studied agriculture? How are people going to be incorporated into the cooperative? So
there are categories of people that are supposed to be incorporated. The first category are for those people that are going to man the gardens. These should be experts. These are experts from the gardens. Then there are people who we only need the labor that we are talking about. So meaning that it is every citizen of Livingstone, regardless of their political party, religion, color, or race, all of them, they have to participate. Then on the other side, where the cooperative is, where we are going to secure the cooperative plant, is that we need experts that know how to produce and how to pack the maize meal. So meaning that there will be categories of people that are going to be involved according to their expertise.
Okay. All right. And all these, the areas of expertise and the labor, you're hoping you're going to cultivate from just Livingstone?
From just Livingstone. So now this is a situation where you yourselves as Livingstone, you go to the garden. You yourself as Livingstone, you cultivate and plant. You yourself as Livingstone, you harvest. You yourself as Livingstone, you grind the maize meal. And you yourself as Livingstone, you sell to yourself. Why do you sell to yourself? You sell to yourself in order, again, to pay the woman and the youth by the garden, and also to pay for the cost of what has incurred. Then now, why yourself doing that cycle is because you are going to cut the production cost. So meaning that you produce the maize for yourself at a cheaper production cost because you are the one involved in all that is happening in the chain of production. So if you are involved in the chain of production, then you are cutting the cost that is in it. So for example, for you to produce that maize in that cycle, instead of you buying the maize at 140, 120, because you are involved yourself, you're going to buy it and sell it to yourself at about 60 kwacha and 70 kwacha. For what? For you to buy the seed and continue with the cycle of what you are doing. So by so doing, there are people that are getting employed, people that are involved. Then you are going to cut out one thing or two things, is that you are going to push out poverty, you are going to push out hunger.
Okay. Now, I do remember you were saying the whole cooperative idea, the stewardship, is anchored on three areas. So when it comes to agriculture and what it would take, where are the startup funds going to come from?
As a elected member of Parliament of Livingstone, is that one, I even mentioned in the first interview that when I served as a police officer, I had an opportunity to serve under the United Nations in Liberia, that is in Monrovia, and the outlining of that country. So I had an opportunity to work with a lot of NGOs, and in those NGOs, I understood their core value, I understood their calling, I understood their agenda, I understood exactly what they were looking for and what they needed to do into African countries. So I know the doors to go to where those funds can be put. Of course, I'm going to involve the government. I'm going to involve the party, because you cannot run with such a big vision without the involvement of the party, the involvement of the government. So the assistance of all that is involved, it will need me to knock into offices of influence, ministries of influence, and together in addition with other NGOs that have already identified. Okay,
we'll come back to agriculture because, like I said, you said there are three pillars. So what will happen to those that are not incorporated in the agricultural aspect of your stewardship program?
Yes, so the stewardship program, because one, we in this vision, there's an area that has to be identified. And this area has to look at the angle of agriculture as number one. Okay. And the same area has to look at the angle of cross-border business. You'd agree with me that Livingstone, where we are sitting on, it's like we have sat in a diamond mine and we do not realize the value of the city itself. The city has about 4 gates into what can bring meaningful entrepreneurship. So the gates into Lusaka Road, which is channeled to Malawi, it is channeled to Tanzania, it's channeled to Congo and Angola. And we are just 10 kilometers from here, we are into Zimbabwe. And about 55 to 60 kilometers, we are into Botswana. And about 200 kilometers, we are into Namibia. So we have all this just near us. So we need now to use our proximity, our location, in order to take advantage of the countries that are around us. So meaning that we depend actually on these countries. For example, even South Africa, there are many products that we bring from South Africa. So there is traffic in Livingstone. So when we look at the traffic that is in Livingstone, what do? Meaning that we have to make South Africa a place that should be more or less 2 kilometers from us. And like the mind, the way it is that you'd think like South Africa is very far. Why? Because of what is involved to get to South Africa. You need to have a passport. You need to look at transport. You need to look at accommodation, and you need to look at food. So all these, when you look at a woman that is by commercial market, to involve her or a youth to say you need to deal into this business, the person has to look at other things in order to draw the capital to go to South Africa. So as a stewardship cooperative is that you need to cut the cost of a passport. You need to cut the cost of transport, accommodation, and other things. Meaning, as a cooperative, you are the ones that are supposed to go to the factories in South Africa in order to identify the products that are needed by the particular woman in Livingstone. So by going to the factory, you as a cooperative, you are going to now engage the factories there to produce according to the demand that you need. So you have cut now the cost of having a lot of people to move into South Africa. So meaning the products that you are going to bring in Livingstone will be cheaper. So the access of the community of Livingstone, our women that are in Livingstone, they will access the products in a cheaper way. So now Livingstone will open up as a market now for Zambia. So meaning that the people that are in Kitwe, Chingola, and Solwezi, they'll be running to Livingstone to buy the products from outside the country, which are now cheaper than them traveling out of the country. So meaning that we'll make Livingstone as a hub, of business.
So just to be clear, so the cooperative, will it be one or there'll be several according to the type of business or the kind of trade or type of activity?
The cooperative itself, the stewardship cooperative, will have to look at three things, which is one, the moment you separate it to make it big, then it will lose its sense.
Okay.
Because it's all anchored. It's like this is a river Zambezi. And into river Zambezi, you want to draw water from the river. So when you want to draw water from the river, it's that you use the water from the river in order to make a furrow. So what is there is that Livingstone has the borders already existing, and Livingstone has the land already there. So, and Livingstone in the third part has the Victoria Falls, the Zambezi River, and the aspect of tourism attraction, which is existing. Meaning even 100 years from now, the falls will still be there. And we found it.
Yeah. So you've talked at great length on agriculture, and you have also touched on how the cross-border would work. Like the women that are currently selling now, when they are a part of the cooperative, that instead of them trading as single entities, then they operate as a cooperative, if I'm to understand that. Especially for the cross-border traders as we know them now, because like they'll be at the Zimbabwe market. How is that going to change? Is it going to come with infrastructure, or they'll continue trading as they are, but as they are selling, they're getting the income as a cooperative and not for individual pockets?
You see, they are not going to be in the cooperative. What is there? Maybe I finish on tourism.
Yes,
then I come back on how they are going to trade. So now the other angle is that we want to talk about tourism. Yeah, tourism or a tourist is a person that is traveling, one, for leisure, two, communication, three, transport. So meaning that in Livingstone is already has a platform to attract tourists, right? Now, me and you know for the fact that we have the Victoria Falls, one of the 7 wonders in the world. Now, even when we are asked to say the Victoria Falls, do we have many falls in the world? We have many and a lot of falls in the world. But why is the traffic for the Victoria Falls? The Victoria Falls is unique such that us here in Zambia and in Livingstone, we have to understand what God has given us. Such that from what God has given us, we are able to generate money and the forex out of it, meaning the Victoria Falls. Number one, have we told the world that the Victoria Falls is in Livingstone? The answer is no. We could have done it, but not on how we are supposed to do it. Because currently, many people in the world think the Victoria Falls is in South Africa. So we need to wake up.
Other countries.
Yes, we need to wake up. So we need to wake up and tell the whole world that the Victoria Falls is here in Zambia. So why do they do that? They do that because the people will travel to their countries before coming to Zambia. Meaning other countries will benefit on accommodation, they'll benefit on visa, on the travelers who are destined for Livingstone or for Zambia. That is
what's going to change? Because I think that's been the effort to market the Victoria Falls as a Zambian product. So what's going to be different when you come on board?
So we are coming in. I am coming in to perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning we are not going to throw out. So we are going to do what? We are going to adapt.
Okay.
Then adopt what was already there, then improve it. So we are not coming in to destroy anything, but we are saying the pace of how we have been doing things have been slower because we have not engaged ourselves into the fast way of making things that already exist in order to what? To move into perfection. Mm-hmm. So meaning that it has been done. Have we gone to the embassies? Number one. Have we gone to the embassies to market the Victoria Falls? I don't need an answer. Number two.
But I can say yes, because
Okay.
I've seen pictures.
All right.
Yes.
Number two, have we lobbied for direct flights into Livingstone?
I'm sure that too has been done.
Mm-hmm. I want to count.
Yes.
Now, those are the roles that a member of parliament has to come in to perfect. That's why I'm talking about what? Perfection.
Okay.
Then, number three, have we drawn the attraction? Have we drawn the history? Have we drawn the richness of the Victoria Falls as it is? The answer is no. Are you aware that the falls itself, the Zambezi River, as it originates from Northwestern Province, it is coming from the ground? Now, you can imagine you have to connect the water falling, thousands of liters, you connect them from coming to the ground. So the person seeing the Victoria Falls has to be aware to say, this is just small waters coming from where? From the ground. Then are you aware that us here in Livingstone, from Sesheke to Livingstone, we have 200 kilometers of a river frontage? Then do you know that from Katima to somewhere in Mambova we can use water transport? That is
so all those are the things that
all those are aspects that we need to look at. Before we come to the falls, we have to look at the river itself. So we have to look at the river before it has fallen. Then we have to look at the fallen river. Then we have to look at the fallen river, that is the boiling point and the gorges. So we need to make this package that is not anywhere. We need to brand it in such a way that anyone who look at this product would know to say, this falls is different from Mambirima Falls. It is different from Sioma Falls. It's different from many other falls. It is unique in such a way. Because there is no way, if you see, they are saying, no, David Livingstone discovered the Victoria Falls. It doesn't mean that us, the locals, did not see it. We saw it. But why do they come in with that? Do you mean that when you was...
So you're all about changing the narrative?
The narrative. Okay. The narrative where I still anchor on to perfect what we already have. So we could have been doing it, but we have to have a situation where we have to take it personal so
as
that
Zambians,
the pace
as
an indigenous Livingstone person is that probably we've been outside the whole situation, the whole issue of Livingstone. Now we have to get into say, okay, take for instance, this is our home, this is our house. We know where this is, we know where this problem is, and we know how we can do it, and we know what is involved, so that at least we can bring perfection into the industry of tourism.
Okay, so let's now get back to the whole stewardship. You having touched on the agriculture aspect, the cross-border aspect, and the tourism aspect. How are you going to be recruiting people into this cooperative? Okay,
the stage number one is that the residents of Livingstone, we have planned what we have drawn in, where the residents of Livingstone will have IDs, and these IDs will be put into the server system. So you, by your house...
So there's an opportunity for information technology, for IDs?
Yes, so okay. Even those people will be involved and recruited. So now, when you go to the cooperative, as a person who is not a member of the cooperative, but you want to buy from the cooperative, you have to produce the card, like an ATM card. So when you want to buy, you are going to produce that. For example...
But before that, just to be clear, so how will the card be issued? Is it for every household? Will people need to go somewhere, or there's a process by which...
No, the cards, the way we have planned, the cards will be done the way the census people do it.
Oh, okay.
They have to move door to door, and you know the house they have given the cards to.
All right.
So you have to physically go there. So we have done all it. Now we are going to know the number of cards issued in Livingstone. Then we are going to multiply times the bags of meal that you can have access in a month to buy, then times 12, then times 2.
Will that take into account the sizes of the different families?
No. For phase one is that in our study, it shows that a house would use like 2 bags of 25 kgs per month. However, sometimes because people would use a mini meal for breakfast and other things, it will go to 3. So meaning that the access card to purchase that, you are only going to be allowed to buy 3 bags of mini meal in a month. And then that one will not be carried forward. So if it is in March, you have access to buy 3 bags. If you buy 1, it's fine. When you leave the 2, it will not be carried forward. In the next month, you have access to buy 3 bags of mini meal. So the access card will make sure that other people that are not for the community into the stewardship of Livingstone will not have access to come and smuggle the mini meal because they'll have the barcode numbers. So when you find that there's a truck that has loaded the mini meal and it's taking it somewhere, when you get the barcode, you'd know the card that has accessed those the mini meal from the what? From the stewardship warehouse.
So the cards will be for the general population of Livingstone.
For Livingstone.
But not necessarily that they'll be a part of the cooperative.
No, they will not be a part of the cooperative.
Okay.
So there are those that are in the cooperative, they've been employed, and they have access to a salary. Then there will be those that are in the cooperative, they do not have salaries, but they are traders. Okay. So like the old women and the women by Zimbabwe market, they will be what? They will be traders, meaning they are going to have access to the cooperative, buy the products, buy the blanket, buy the alcohol, buy everything in a cheaper way, then they'll in turn supply to the country. So meaning that they are not on salary, but they have the one access to the cooperative.
Who will actually be running the cooperative?
Now, this is where it is. As a member of parliament, I want to tell you to say the roles of the member of parliament is to work with the party. The roles of the member of parliament is to make laws in parliament. The roles of the member of parliament, if appointed as a minister, is to work as a minister. And also, the roles of the member of the parliament is to work into his constituency. Now, you'd find that the member of parliament will have like 70% of his time in parliament. Now, he forgets that he needs to put people that needs to represent him. So now there will be a committee that will be put, which are supposed to drive the vision and the idea of the member of parliament.
By any chance, will you use the ward structure, the councillors, the mayor, would they have a role in all this? The vision itself is above positions. Okay. Because it's a vision that we need to live, that in the next 10 years, if myself am not there or I die, it should move from sustainable development to sustainable prosperity. So when we reach at a time that we prosper in such a way, we are going to create a situation where it doesn't take my presence for something to run. Because we have to create a stewardship of a cooperative where it doesn't take Mr. Fenete to be there. But the people that are there, even when we are going to die, we are going now, it will be like, it will go on and on, where Livingstone itself will have production and meaningful entrepreneurship based on the location of Livingstone, meaning the border, meaning the land, meaning the tourism that is involved in Livingstone. Okay. So a cooperative has to be registered. Who are the people that are going to actually be registered for the cooperative?
The cooperative has to be registered, and it will be registered, and the people that will be involved are the committee members. Already I have about 15 people.
Okay. That you have personally appointed, or they've volunteered?
They have volunteered. Okay. The people that I've shared this vision with, they have volunteered. And these people, from there, we are going to look at people that probably have done school, they are experts. All those people in Livingstone, the youths that have gone to study, to do many things in entrepreneurship and other aspects, all those people will be got on board so that we do it together as a community of Livingstone.
All right. Are there any issues that you foresee? How much is it going to take to kickstart this grand idea? Should you be elected as Member of Parliament, how much money will it take?
The estimate of money, it involves a lot. However, what is more costly in this is the mindset. The first expensive thing into this is the mindset. Because the mindset of the community has to be drawn to understand and to participate. Because you find that many people are tailored in such a way that someone who has to talk to them, no matter how good not be from the political party that the person belongs to. So the other thing is probably by religion, denomination. The person says, no, me, I can only listen if a person is the member of our church. So the most expensive thing all in this is the mindset.
And
so
are you going to invest in changing mindset?
This is what we are doing, me and you now. We have already invested in it. Because this which we are doing on this table is to inform the residents of Livingstone what is way ahead of us, and then to begin to prepare the people of Livingstone to say, you need to change. We need to change our mindset. We need to put and tailor our mind for the love of the community of Livingstone, so that we have to be above any other things that is tailored in our mind, in order for us to really understand, to say, how does this work? Let us put in what we can put in. So if we all come on board, all we need from everyone is just to participate, but the positive mind towards it. So the rest of the things will fall in place.
Okay, I'll still go back, because it's a grand plan that you have for implementation. If you're elected as member of parliament, will people need to pay something to join the cooperative?
You see, there is a time when you are issued with a card,
yes,
and the people that are moving around being paid, right?
Yes.
So the card will cost, but when you be given the card first, you will not be charged anything.
Okay.
All right, you will not be charged anything. But that time when we start to produce the milli meal, you'd find that the cost of the milli meal, though cheaper, but maybe, for example, it will start at 70 kwacha. Then everyone knows cheap maize, they'll buy at 70 kwacha. Then eventually they will come and find out, say, it's no longer 70 kwacha, it's actually 60 kwacha. Not knowing that at a period time, the 10 kwacha was going back for the cards and what was involved in the production of that. So meaning that it will work in such a way that it will not be a burden on the person that you are approaching to be involved in.
Who is going to finance the startup cost?
The financing, like I had mentioned, to say each karipa chumfomwine, and then this vision we have drawn it down such that we have knocked to doors on those that will help into financing this. Yeah. So there are times when you can have a very good and brilliant vision, but there are other people that know to say that vision, though very positive, they will come in and fight it. Why? Because it will not be of benefit to, it will play as a disadvantage to what they already do. So usually when you want to review about such a thing, you need to note that this is not supposed to be revealed. So the financiers and everything, yes, we propose to many. There are people that are willing to help, but we, at this particular time, at this stage, we cannot disclose where that startup capital can come from. However, all this will be tabled and put before government and government ministries that can actually help in making sure that this vision materializes.
Okay. What would you say is if I were to push you to just summarize it, like what's the biggest advantage to going the way you would like to go versus how things have been going? Because there's you would imagine that through local government, such are the structures that what you essentially want to do is already happening.
Definitely. I use the word as a member of parliament, I'm not coming in to say there's nothing happening. I'm coming in as a catalyst. So the issue is the pace of development on something that we already have. So as a catalyst, it's a quick reaction into positive gains that have to be there. So why? It's because you and me, you have been in Livingstone for many years. You'd find that what you have seen around has been there for a long period of time. Now, to answer you, is that when we look at it at an angle of production, the angle of production is that we are going to now cut the cost of what? Within the people that live within Livingstone. Number two is that when we do well on tourism, to market tourism, and when we do well on measures on tourism, there are certain proposals that I haven't mentioned now that we need to bring before government. And when we bring those proposals, is that we are going to have a huge traffic of tourists. So when we have a huge traffic of tourists, the taxi driver is earning an income. The restaurant incomes, the lodges incomes, the curios incomes. So the flow of money and circulation within the city, by just doing correct thing, marketing and information, is that it increases. Then the investor who sees to say, in Livingstone there are a lot of people, but they are not accommodated. So we are going to have big investors to come and put up lodges and other facilities in order to accommodate the people that are coming in. Then it will create what? Employment. It will create what? Many of the suppliers will supply to the hotels. So it becomes a very big industry by just doing some perfection. So now when we get to say, okay, fine, we have done all this, we now begin to do additions. What are the additions? Let me come to that.
The milling plant?
Yes,
the milling plant?
The milling plant. Now, the additions into perfection are when we come to tourism. Take for instance, we say we sign an MOU with the Ministry of Sports, with FIFA. And when we sign that, we have teams that are outside Zambia, even African teams, Nigeria, and even European teams, even Man U. And then you say Man U is coming to play a football game, a friendly with Zambia in Livingstone. What happens? They come to see the Victoria Falls. The people from Mauritius, South Africa, and Angola are all come to Livingstone. So there will be traffic in Livingstone. And out of the traffic of the people visiting, the social development of Livingstone goes high. So what you look at is we are looking at bringing in traffic, which brings in money. In turn, the economy of Livingstone changes and creates employment, and nearly everyone gets into to be employed or to have direct and indirect benefit for doing things in a faster way and in a perfect way.
Okay. Will it matter whether the PF retains the governance of the country or another political party does? Do you think your plan is one that can survive if there's a change in that?
The vision itself is anchored on the geographical location of Livingstone.
And not.
So even now, if because I'm sharing this vision, even you now you'll be a bearer of this vision. And even when I die tomorrow, this vision will not die. Meaning that you have gotten the vision and the idea of it. And even the people that I am with, there are people that are carrying the vision. However, for me, being a member of the PF, being a person aspiring on the PF ticket, my vision to develop Livingstone and Zambia resonates on the vision of the Patriotic Front government, which is running in massive development. So it runs as such. However, if government changes, that doesn't kill the vision itself.
The cooperative, the stewardship, is it also going to look at other things that are pertinent to the development of Livingstone or the well-being of Livingstone? There's corruption, there's health, there's education, different other things.
Okay, now you see what this cooperative is all about. I want to show you. This cooperative itself has a bank account. Now, when you produce the maize, for example, on one angle, when you bring products from South Africa, it will mean that as a cooperative, you yourselves are having incomes in your account. Because when you calculate in a month, you are going to calculate in a month and find that in that particular month, in that particular year, you know how many bags of milimi will be consumed. Then you know the excess maize. So you are going to export, you are going even to sell to FRA, you are going to sell your maize products somewhere else. So meaning you are going to have money that is coming in. Now, it is from that money that the cooperative itself comes in to say, now, where are the basic needs in the city? Oh, no, we need hand pumps. So you work hand in hand with the local authority. You go to the council. The council will tell you, we really urgently need robots by ZNBC Airport Road. So you come in as a cooperative to fund the robots by the junction. Oh, no, we need signs. So you now come in from your account, which is your own stewardship. Now you begin from your own generation of money to what? To work side by side with the local authority. in order to improve and perfect certain things that would be much dependent on issues of CDF, issues of what. So you are able now to cushion, to get into the spaces of those other things. So the most cardinal thing is that as you are doing it, you remove hunger and poverty, and then as you are doing it, you begin now to bring in development to social needs. So what we are now talking about is the social needs, that is health, that is education, and other aspects that come in. So as we go on, because the mindset changes, when we all become positive, the rest of the negative things, they begin to fall off. Because why? Because of your determination to achieve that which you want to.
All right. We can go on and on again. However, for now, for people that are looking at you and are considering whether you would deserve their vote as Member of Parliament, what word do you have for them?
For the people that are in Livingstone, I think it's high time that all of us that are in Livingstone, we rise up and wake up. The waking up that I'm appealing to people from Livingstone is that it is time that has come. It is a moment that has come that we need to know that our city hasn't developed much as it is supposed to, because probably we have reached where we are by the faults that we did in the past. So for now, let us look into a situation where we put in leadership that is different, leadership that is going to bring in a different development into Livingstone. So when we bring in this leadership, we must not be stereotyped. We must open our minds, we must open our hearts to new ideas that all of us as a community, we can join together in order to bring in a different Livingstone than what it was.
Thank you. Well, this has been another episode of Local Pulse. We encourage the democratic participation of citizens in decision making. Mr. Fenete is aspiring to become Member of Parliament for Livingstone. He has laid out his plans. The plans are not for himself. As we get into the campaign period, as we head towards the elections, it's up to each citizen to castigate, to interrogate, and to get to know more about what the plans are going to be. My name is Mwendalubi Mambi. Thank you very much once again for being with us.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.
And on that note, we come to the end of today's episode of Local Pulse. As always, we would love to hear from you. If you have any comments or suggestions about the program, send them to localpulse@quadcommunications.org or call us on 0977 586 506. Thank you for your time.